right, it is Thursday, the 4th of July. Oh, 4th of July. Means in America they're celebrating something.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
It just hit you right now.
Just now, 4th of July. Karibu sana, this is the Morning Cafe. Tunaamsha vile inafaa. My name is Freddie Ndimuli. How hot is the coffee where you are?
I'm usually Stanley Ringita. Karibu sana. It is Junior Friday. Hashtags that are trending right now on X. Number one, maandamano. The second one is Thursday and Sunday. Kuna ingine pale ni Wigiji, I'm curious. Wigiji ilitoka wapi?
That's a new one.
But those are the trending topics, and that just tells you what to expect today. Looking at what happened on Tuesday, the anti-government protests, and how it turned out to be criminal elements, infiltrating all this. So we expect to see how things are going to be looking like today in different parts of the country. So stick it right here on Morning Cafe. On TV47, we'll be giving you those pictures just to see how things zitakuwa zinakaa.
Right. Of course, on the State of the Nation, today we're going to be having Robert Alai, MCA Kileleshwa, Kiruga Dhuku, MCA Shinga Ward, and Njerika Higa, National Youth Leader, PNU, for our conversations to take a look at what's happening with the protests and what next for Gen Z. Do stand by for that conversation. Right. But for now, let's take a look at...
Before the headlines, what you need to know about small claims court. Ushaipatia mtu 5,000, kumwambia tafadhali, nirudishie next week. Akakataa.
Wengi sana.
Ukapelekana hivi na hivi ukaamua, you know what? I'm taking you to court. So these are the kind of, the small claims court will be telling you what actually happens and the kind of matters that you can take to the small claims court. Hii maneno kidogo kidogo hapo unasumbuana na mtu. Peleka yeye kotini, mmalizane naye. To the headlines. Senate to Ruto, rid yourself of excess baggage. I don't like many words on the headline, but yes, Senate to Ruto. Yesterday they had a very special session just to discuss the crisis in the country. And yes, they were very direct and told the president, umebeba mizigo mingi, drop some. And the Daily Nation jitters as Ruto cabinet purge looms. That's the baggage the Standard is talking about. Yes. That's the Daily Nation this morning. Mawaziri hofu tele. Kunaribika, it is boiling nicely. People might be losing their jobs. And I think that is what Kenyans want to see. Oh, yes. Sahi, if you always sit around that table, angalia tu. Watch news. It's too watch hot. News. Yes. Watch news. Matters business on the Business Daily. Public wage bill up 29 billion shillings, even as SRC freezes pay rise. Ilikuwa imeleta tumbo joto jana. The fact that state officers were to get a pay hike. And People Daily is still continuing with the Lord's work on a pay rise for greedy MPs now frozen. Yes. And People Daily actually led this week with this story. Yes. Everyone else was slow to it, but yesterday all the dailies had picked it up, now forcing SRC to actually declare a freeze. Dissolve cabinet. Ruto allies demands. Now you see it's Ruto's allies. Allies, yes. Oh yes. We're demanding for the cabinet to be dissolved. This is what we expect to happen. It's going to make probably big news today, if it does happen. That's the Star. Across the border in Uganda, UNRA, 21 agencies hit in new hiring freeze. The fate of thousands of employees across government parastatals has gone back to the floor of Parliament after the executive directed for the retabling of the repeal bills. That story is on pages 4 and 5 of the Daily Monitor in Uganda this morning. Nothing to do with anything regional, even this now has to do with Kenya. They say Uganda National Oil Corporation's first oil import arrives. It arrived in Kenya at the Mombasa port. And, dignitaries of Kenya as well as Uganda were there just to see the first batch of this. This is a conversation that has been happening between Kenya and Uganda. And finally, so this is just to basically reduce maneno ya... So now they'll start importing directly. Yes. Uganda will be importing directly their own consignment and taking it to their... Okay, interesting. That's in as far as Uganda news is concerned. Across the border in Tanzania, they still have an image there of the visiting head of state from Mozambique, Felipe Nyusi, with his host, President Samia Suluhu Hassan. Rais Nyusi amaaga wa Tanzania. He had been on a state visit there. Hiyo ndo habari kuu pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Mwananchi. Habari zaidi, vita ya kodi kitanzi TRA. Mchezo mchafu wa wafanyabiashara, watumishi, sheria na ubabe katika kudai unavyowatesa vigogo. Mtihani wa msubiri mwenda, wadau wakimpa suluhisho.
I'm not going to claim that I understood what I've read, but yes, that is the news in Tanzania this morning.
Oh, yes. More news in Tanzania. There is a cabinet, or rather there was a cabinet reshuffle in Tanzania yesterday. They say why writing was on the wall for Trade Minister and the Tanzania Revenue Authority boss. So the ones that have been reshuffled include the Trade Minister Ashatu Kijaji, pictured here, as well as the Tanzania Revenue Authority Commissioner General Alfayo Kidata. So Alfayo Kidata has been taken to be the presidential advisor, while Ashatu Kijaji, who's the former Trade Minister, is in the Minister of State in the Vice President's office. There was that happening, so it seems as if this purge inatoka Tanzania, sijui kama inaingia Kenya.
In Kenya, people are claiming, demanding more than just a reshuffle.
Yes.
They want to see people go home. Yeah. Watu wafutwe kazi, watu wapoteze job.
Si eti wewe toka hapa, ile ukicheza chess, kuja hapa, kuja hapa, kuja hapa.
Out Naja. All right, those are the dailies this morning. Let's take a look at the traffic situation in Nairobi. And this morning we can see, probably because of the anticipation of what might happen within the CBD, traffic is a bit slow. Nothing much to report about. But you can see, this is farther from Nairobi. This is the area around Limuru. Yeah. It's slow traffic. You can see distinct yellow. Meaning, and I think we've just gone to Europe now. Yes, slow traffic around Limuru, but because of the weather, probably a foggy situation there. Vehicles are not moving very fast. Let's get closer to Nairobi and looking at the major tributaries into town. Nothing much to report. And you can see this is not the usual kind of traffic around Pangani area as at this time of day, about 7 minutes past 6. It's usually red because of the buildup of traffic at the Pangani interchange, but you can see right now nothing much is happening there, meaning today we don't expect a lot of traffic in Nairobi. If you go as far back as Githurai, nothing to report on Thika Road. Kiambu Road 2 is looking good. Mombasa Road as well. Now,
earlier on there was something around Westlands. I don't know if it has cleared.
We'll take a look at that here. I think, yeah, this is Mountain Mall. Let's go back to Westlands. I think it's cleared. It was around here, the expressway.
Oh, yes.
It was a bit red. I think there must have been an incident which appears to have cleared by now. So yes, the traffic situation is looking good. Even Jogoo Road is fast-moving traffic today, apart from that small bit there at Mbotela. Everything else is good. Even in town, this area at Haile Selassie Avenue is usually red at this time of day. You can see, totally green, meaning probably not much traffic expected today, especially within the CBD.
9 minutes past the top of the hour, we might be seeing a Sunday traffic today. Let's take a look at the weather in different parts of the country. Starting in Nairobi, 14 degrees Celsius, but then they say it promises to get even hotter getting into the afternoon hours. As hot as 23 degrees and even as hot as 24 degrees Celsius. That's in Nairobi, 14 degrees. But then residents of Marsabit are experiencing even a hotter temperature this morning, 17 degrees Celsius, and it promises to even get hotter than that, as hot as 27. Yes, highs of 27. From Marsabit to Kule Chini Western region in Bungoma, 18 degrees Celsius. Yeah, surprisingly. And it is going to even get as high as 27 degrees. So if you're around Bungoma and you're thinking, how is my day going to be looking like? This is venye itakuwa inakaa. So unajua unaangalianga weather but then ujue what you're going to wear that day. Limuru, 11 degrees. Yes. Quite chilly. Yes.
Must be foggy.
But then it promises to even clear that fog, the morning hours between 7 to 8, 11 to 12 degrees, where the sun rays start to pop out, and then the highs of 21 degrees. That's the highest of temperatures you're going to be seeing around Limuru for today.
Right.
A quick update on our news diary. First off, the anti-government protests that I do expected to happen in different parts of the country. We'll be telling you how this is going to be looking like in different parts of the country, just to see the fact that on Tuesday we did see some criminal elements get and infiltrate, particularly by the way, mostly in Mombasa. Things, the scenes that were in Mombasa were just something else. So also in Nairobi and different cities around the country. So there is a whole communication on socials, people saying call off the demonstrations. But then, as I was alluding to earlier on X, hashtag is maandamano, hashtag also is Thursday and Sunday. So a section of these protesters might be on the streets today just calling for accountability in the government, as well as mourning those who lost their lives during these demonstrations. They're calling this entire week 7 days of justice. And what some of them really might just be doing is blocking major roads, the entrance to major roads, and just sitting down in the CBDs of different cities. That is what we do expect. Also, Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja is expected to appear before the Senate Committee on Finance just to clear a couple of queries. And then thereafter, Johnson Sakaja is expected to give an address on the state of Nairobi right now. So particularly, we do expect to hear Johnson Sakaja telling us how the business community has been affected largely due to these demonstrations. We'd also expect him to tell us how the county government is doing to probably even talk to these demonstrators and what is going to happen this coming week. Stick around for that. Right now, though, let's get to Today in History.
On this day in 2015, Tunisia's president declared a state of emergency 1 week after a 23-year-old gunman killed 38 foreign tourists at a beach hotel in the northern city of Sousse.
All right, let's now take a look at the dailies this morning. Right, and on the front page of the Standard, Senate to Ruto, rid yourself of excess baggage. That's a message from the Senate. Senators, while debating the state of the nation, told the president that for him to ride out the protest storm, he needs to fire the cabinet and advisors, drop the CAS idea, and disband unconstitutional offices. That story is on page 4, and I think it's a very clear message to the head of state on what he should do from the Senate. And if I may quote some, they've been quoted here on the front page, some of the senators. Senator for Kakamega Boni Khalwale says, I call on the president to disband the cabinet and reconstitute it afresh, do away with the chief administrative secretary office, as well as office of the first lady. Senate Majority Leader Aaron Cheyot says the Senate wants the National Police Service to seize abductions and lawful arrests, extrajudicial killings, and exercise restraint. Meanwhile, the Senator for Nairobi, Edwin Sifuna, said, I am calling for an audit of all cases that have been withdrawn by the Director of Public Prosecutions. This remains the biggest discussion this morning.
And coming from even his allies, it speaks volumes, really.
Yes. His allies included, yes. Yeah. Other stories given prominence on the front page of the Standard this morning. No pay rise for MPs. This one had really caused a lot of hue and cry after that headline earlier this week. Government officials yesterday fell over themselves to deny any role in a salary increase notice for elected leaders, with the executive and other senior members saying the timing is not right as budgets are being trimmed. Yes. So July 1st, that was a Monday, that was the date the salary increment for senior government officials was supposed to start. The raise has since been stopped, and many Kenyans are happy with that move. Other highlights: court asks for more witnesses in Mandago case. Elsewhere, Azimio demands snap elections for errant MPs. Hey, that would be interesting if at all it ever happened. Judiciary first to feel heat of trimmed budget. Go pressure. On the top strip of the front page of the Standard, more highlights there. JSS teachers, money wars add to schools' protest anxieties. Meanwhile, AG flags shady deals in KAA audits. on the international scene, 120,000 babies stolen in Georgia. And in sports, pressure piles as Euro gets to quarterfinals. And that's the main story on the back page of this daily.
Beautiful images there.
Beautiful images,
oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Football is a beautiful game.
Weekend vizuri. Hey.
Yes, back to the game, back to the beautiful game. And the quarterfinals are like this. Tomorrow we'll have Spain versus Germany. That one will be played in Stuttgart. Another quarterfinal match, Portugal versus France. Interesting game. Elsewhere, on Saturday, England versus Switzerland. And finally, Netherlands versus Turkey. Those are the games, quarterfinals of the Euro 2024.
To the front page of Daily Nation, jitters as Ruto cabinet purge looms. They say keen to assuage widespread disaffection among the youth who have taken the country hostage with mass demonstrations. President William Ruto is said to be planning a major shakeup of his executive in a move that will see some ministers and PSs moved or sent packing. Also calling it, is it a reshuffle? Anxiety has gripped top officials in both the executive and parliament. Right now, if you're in that executive, you better keep refreshing your SMSs just to push.
Back in the day before you were born, guys used to be fired through the 1 o'clock news. So ministers used to carry their radios in the cars, and you have to listen to 1 o'clock news. If you don't, you might not know you've been fired. And then you listen to it with your driver, and the driver learns that you've been fired, and anapark tu gari hapo, na anatoa flag. Kwambia boss, kazi imeisha.
It was good doing business with you.
Tembea.
My days. Other highlights focused on the front page of Daily Nation. On the right, they say why some MPs fear a visit to constituents. The short races for MPs, which started last week and runs to the 22nd of July, is turning out to be one of a kind, especially for lawmakers who voted in favor of the Finance Bill 2024 that has been withdrawn. So far, we've seen some saying, makosa ni yangu, poleni sana, I am sorry. Some even went to a whole extent of printing T-shirts and saying, I am sorry, and other whole gimmicks. Others are remaining very strong and saying, I stand with my stand and say, this is the reason why I voted yes. On the bottom, how goons infiltrated youth protests. And the quote there, Brenda Kangai, who they say the day protesters stormed Parliament, she ended her participation in the protests and left home at 1 p.m., much earlier than she had initially planned. There was just something terrifying about some of the faces in the protests. She says they looked fishy, weird, and menacing. Shiona sura yenye, nasemanga si sura tinginya, lakini ile sura tu ya kutisha.
Misuri tinginya.
Aliona sura kama hiyo kaona, it's time to go.
Obviously Gen Z.
You see, on the bottom scroll, why President stopped pay rise for state officers, that is on the back page. And even as you flip there, they say governors yesterday called for the withdrawal of the proposal. So the new pay structures to be implemented in the new financial year, 2024-2025, with effect from the 1st of July. Something else that was also is going to be affected when it comes to these austerity measures, they say on the left scroll of the back page, judiciary hit with hiring freeze as Treasury limits spending in austerity bid. And that is, in a nutshell, Daily Nation for you.
Yes. And if you look at most of our dailies, there's one face that is common across I think the top three dailies, because this face is also on the front page of the Business Daily. And that's the face of Lynn Mengich, SRC chairperson. She has come under fire for that Gazette notice, increasing pay for most state officers. That has since been frozen, and that's a piece of news that's there on the front page of the Nation, of the Standard, and even now on the front page of the Business Daily. Public wage bill up 29 billion shillings, even as SRC freezes pay rise. 24.8 billion shillings pay increase approved in 9 months to March. 4.2 billion went into hiring medical interns for UHC. So they say public servants took home an additional 24.8 billion in salaries between July and March this year.
That's the Business Daily.
Yes, this is a Business Daily.
Yeah.
Even as the economy struggles to create jobs for millions of Kenyans, while those employed in the private sector grapple with stagnated salaries. Matters salaries in the public service.
And Freddie, it was interesting, even yesterday, seeing quite a number of members of parliament as well as governors saying, Miss
Everyone is saying, no.
Msidongeza pesa, Miss Dayo pesa.
Watu wanaogopa. Hey. You realize that after the protests the first week, now you don't even see sirens on the roads.
Yeah.
Those flags for cabinet secretaries are no longer there. Another piece of news given prominence on the front page: Treasury budget cuts, delayed payments, derail road projects. Road contractors are increasingly abandoning projects or going slow in works due to deep budget cuts and delayed disbursement of funds by the Treasury. Now, this is according to the Auditor General. More highlights. Why only banks recorded faster growth in Q1. Elsewhere, BOC Kenya delays dividend pay to November 6th. Court upholds jail term for ex-NSSF boss, and finally, core inflation unchanged despite consumer prices dropping. Yes. And there's an image of my former classmate there on the front page of the Business Daily. It's called Willie Kimani. Ex-Naivas boss seeks to disrupt retail with low-budget stores. That's the front page of the Business Daily.
Right. On People Daily now, pay rise for greedy MPs now frozen. Call it a people power. After backlash by angry Kenyans, salary team eats humble pie and reverses decision towards senior state officers' huge packs. That is more extensive coverage on page 4, but other highlights focused, now specifically People Daily has this, other dailies haven't really focused on the IMF angle. They say finance bill, how the IMF failed Ruto. Pale chini, they have the photo there of Francis Muturi, ex-NSSF, National Social Security Fund top honchos to pay 10 billion cash shillings fine. Something the courts had said on the same yesterday. Pale juu, this is just People Daily doing the Lord's work. Listen to this. Noisy court jesters go underground. They say after shouting from the rooftops for passage of punitive tax laws, Kenya Kwanza key leaders retreat to the enclaves in face of rage by brave young Kenyans. Wakachapisha picha zao pale National Assembly, Speaker Moses Wetangula, Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah and Majority Whip Sylvanus Osoro.
Wameitwa court jesters. Noisy court jesters.
Ay. Wow. And that in a nutshell is People Daily will be getting back to Stano's take.
Okay.
Kwenye katuni yake, but first
tuangazie sasa ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti la Taifa Leo. Anasema habari kuu pale, mawaziri hofu tele. Duru zasema Rais Ruto ajiandaa kuwafuta kazi mawaziri na makatibu fisadi. Well, we still have to wait until it happens. Yes, all this is jitters, hofu, but nothing. Duru za kuaminika. Wasiwasi umetanda katika baraza la mawaziri, huku Rais Ruto akiripotiwa kupanga mabadiliko katika juhudi za kuzima maandamano yanayoendelea nchini dhidi ya serikali. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa pili. Najua ameangazia ni nani anakaa likely kuambiwa go home.
Kwanza
vidokezo zaidi.
After waseme makatibu fisadi, now you start.
Now you know if you're fired, you know you already have a tag.
This is why.
Ni fisadi. Vidokezo zaidi kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo. JSC yasitisha uajiri wa majaji 11 wa rufaa. Masuala ya maandamano, washukiwa 15 kukaa seli kwa siku 7. Habari za kimataifa, watu 105 wafariki katika mkanyagano wa dini nchini India. Pale juu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele bado kwenye gazeti hili la Taifa Leo, madeni yalemaza magavana 30. Na habari zaidi, rais akataa nyongeza ya wabunge. Yes. Hilo ndio gazeti la Taifa Leo hii leo.
And finally on the front page of the Star, dissolve cabinet, Ruto allies demand. They say president's closest allies John Growing calls for sweeping changes in the government. Coverage is on pages 4 and 5. And they say MPs allege widespread graft, mismanagement and a lack of confidence. Pale chini, a collage of photos, one of Sunbeam shopping mall along Fangano Street that was burnt during demonstrations in Nairobi last week. There's also a vandalized designer shop, Pala Italian suit shop, as well as a vandalized Dove chemist along Nyerere Road in Mombasa. Just taking a look at how things have been shaping up. They say Gen Z protester shot dead in demo, buried in Narok. Palechini, on the bottom, Shusela foresaw his death in protests. Interesting. And matters high cost of living. Lobby warns of edible oil price hikes, and they want duty rescinded. Meanwhile, news report indicts KRA for releasing poisonous sugar. Chunga sana sukari yenye unalamba leo asubuhi. On the bottom, or rather the very top strip, a photo of Azimio leader Raila Odinga. He says, those who looted during Tuesday's protests were not Gen Z, says Raila. Yes.
Speaking of Gen Z, they are featured on the cartoon on page 14 of the Standard. There are two frames there, and they're saying what has been happening since independence and what is happening with the Gen Z revolution. So since independence, we have someone who's carrying a politician on his shoulders. So there's a tribal cocoons, so carrying their own tribesmen heading towards elections. But when you come to this second frame where we have the Gen Z revolution, towards 2027, they say they are tribeless, they're partyless, and leaderless, and they're very patriotic. And very patriotic, carrying the Kenyan flag.
Yes.
Mambo inageuka.
Partyless, fearless, leaderless, rudderless.
No, not rudderless. I think they are positive adjectives so far. On page 17 of the Daily Nation, talks about the goons who've infiltrated the peaceful demonstrations. And they see one of the goons is seated somewhere and say, it's written, break glass in case of peaceful demonstrations. Yes, they're just coming in to mess up an otherwise good and positive agitation.
A final one on page 10 of People Dailies. Tanos take this huge, humongous member of parliament. Amevaa shati ya yellow. That really symbolizes that symbolizes a lot, really. And Asema, it's true. Life has become so expensive. I need more money. Mkenya mwenye nambeba amechoka yake yote.
And increments. Although on X everyone has come out to say, mimi sikuitisha, mimi sitaki hiyo pesa, sitaki hiyo pesa. Sio mimi.
Kaini na hiyo.
Watu wanataka kutuharibia.
Even in Senate yesterday, they were having the session. I was like, no. Kaini na hiyo pesa.
Ushasikia mtu anakataa pay rise. Hii imekataliwa kweli, sitaki.
Lakini deep down una text mtu unamwambia
hofu imetanda.
Tukikataa leo, next time itarudi itakuwa
hawezi kataa. Hofu imetanda. Well, those are the dailies this morning, and we'll be looking at this and a lot more with my panelists after the break. Yes, I had told you earlier, Robert Alai, MCA Kileleshwa, Kiruga Dhuku, MCA Shinga Ward, and Njerika Higa will be in studio for that conversation. Do stand by for that. Of course, you can be part of the same through our social media pages. I can see quite a number of retweets. Continue engaging with us on X at TV47 News, on Facebook, TV47 Kenya. My X handle is at Fred Indimuli.
22047 is your SMS number. 0793-267-279 is our WhatsApp number. Later on at around 8 a.m. we discuss what you need to know about small claims court, and Ruth Tanush is an advocate of the High Court, will be helping us understand. You probably have some of these small scuffles happen at pale with someone close to you, ama mtulia ikopesha pesa or something like that, and you decide, let me take this person to a small claims court. What really happens there? What kind of matters are taken to a small claims court? You definitely don't want to miss on that conversation. This is Morning Cafe. We're taking a short break. We'll be right back.
Katika maeneo kame katika kaunti ya Kitui.
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV47 with me, Fred Indimuli. Time for us to take a look at the state of the nation. Very interesting headlines today. And of course, the big one has to do with the anticipated cabinet reshuffle. But before we get to that, there's a piece of news that's it's on all the front pages today. And the image, the picture there of Lynn Mingich, the chairperson of the SRC, features on all the front pages. No pay rise for MPs. That's the headline, a link to this discussion on the front page of the Standard. Why President stopped pay rise for state officers on the Daily Nation. Public wage bill up 29 billion shillings even as SRC freezes pay rise. That's a Business Daily. And on the People Daily, pay rise for greedy MPs now frozen. Well, it's I think there was a focus on members of parliament, but I think even members of county assemblies were to get some money. I have two of them here with me this morning. Allow me to introduce my panel. Let me start with the lady, Jerika Higa, National Youth Leader, PNU. Karibu sana. Asante. We're also privileged to have Robert Alai, MCA Kileleshwa. Good morning, Karibu.
Asante.
And Kiruga Dhuku, MCA Chinga Ward, also the chairperson of the UDA MCA's caucus and member of your UDA NEC.
Thank you very much.
Let's start up hapo kwa pesa hapo. For the first time, I've seen members of parliament and now even MCAs coming out very excitedly to refuse a pay rise. Everyone on Twitter is saying, I'm not interested, stack your pesa. Other years, people have been very quiet. MPs have been known to pass laws to increase their perks and allowances. This time round, everyone appears to have coiled their tails. What's happening?
Even you, Fred, you seem to be very excited by the news.
No, I'm just excited by the fact that everyone now is refusing a pay rise and doing so publicly.
Good morning, viewers. I think, Fred, you know, even some of these headlines, you know, they just go to underscore the unfairness that we normally have at times. Nobody, not MPs, not MCAs, not cabinet secretaries, no one, at least in the political class, this time we can say it was not their request that they be added any salaries. You know, we had been agitating even for increase na uko mbele. But you can see now the kind of hatred that is there within some even of our constitutional bodies against our leaders. They want the leaders to be roasted deliberately because this was a circular that was issued in 2023.
Yes.
And in 2023, we didn't have the kind of crisis. In fact, you know, there is a periodic review of wages and what have you across the board. Mm-hmm. You know, they are making it appear as if it is only the leaders who are getting an increase, but it was across the board, teachers, police, all the cadres of civil servants, and it included the leaders. And for example, like in the case of the MCAs, they are being added 10,000, of which we have said, we are not interested. Even on Abara here, we will tell you. The MPs, 14,000. Now, you see, I wonder, even the SRC, when it is led by bright people, or unlistening people. You cannot, no, look.
The Gazette notice was issued last year.
Yes. But you see, you cannot then come here and put people into conflict with Kenyans that when we are calling for austerity measures, you are coming here excitedly. You are even exciting Akina Fred Indimuli here by coming here to say now
it is the media houses that picked up this piece of news.
Yes, but
because it was to come into effect this Monday.
Why should they effect
on the first day of the financial year?
And they leaked. You know, someone at SRC deliberately leaked to the media. Now you know. You remember that circular for last year? Now we are about to implement it. No, you see, they should just have quietly shelved those. Implemented the austerity measures, they don't increase any salaries for anyone, but still, if it's possible, with me I would still say, teachers, the police, they give us the leaders, you see, they increase for the teachers and the police, and the other local cadres like the doctors.
The Standard on page 6 have done a very nice breakdown of how much each of these top state officers would have received. MCAs are down there. They would have received an additional 10,000 shillings. MPs an additional 14,000 shillings. But Bwana Alai, you've been the forefront calling for better packs for MCAs.
Yeah.
You are on record. Yes, so how is it now you're saying no to an increase in your pay?
No, when we call for better, and pay is in relation to the situation in the country now. And the situation in the country is that people, even if you deserve anything, people don't understand the conversation now. My worry is that the people who are going to lose the most here is the MCAs, because I believe that the MCAs should be paid better. The MPs earn a fraction of the president's salary. The other institutions, you find there's a way of categorizing that payment. In fact, the MCAs, when the devolution started, they were earning higher, and it was reduced because the MPs saw that MCAs are their natural competitors, and a good number of them are going to be replaced by MCAs. And you have over 2,200 MCAs in the country. It is a very big risk to the over 300 MPs we have. So I believe that in all these conversations, the people who have been added the least is the MCAs. If you compare, even the county minority and majority leaders have added close to 20,000, 17,000 on top. If you see all these county assembly speakers, so you find that as the time goes, these people are earning higher, but they are all MCAs. A speaker is an MCA. County majority and minority leader is an MCA. There's no special function, which would say they required more than double or even 50,000 shillings more than the MCAs. So I find it very unfair when, in all these conversations, I think we needed to understand that devolution needs to be strengthened. If we don't strengthen devolution, because you find that the seat of the MCA is not properly remunerated. And even if it's remunerated, you find that they have to wait for the governors to sign for their salaries. You see, it is very unfortunate. How do we oversight these governors?
But are you of the same thinking like Bonathuku here that you should not get this money?
Now, but we should get it at some point.
You should get a pay rise,
at
but not
some
now.
point, but not now.
Because this Gazette notice has been there in existence for over a year. And those saying no, they were aware that this existed. 1 year later is when everyone comes out and says, no, hatutaki your pay.
Yes, according to the prevailing circumstances, you cannot come to increase when everyone...
Jerry, do you see any genuineness in the Waheshimiwa refusing a pay rise?
Good morning, everybody. And, it's very, sometimes the Kenyan politics have a way of just slapping the Kenyan person to their face, because those are insults. You cannot tell us that you are questioning the media for raising this issue. Yet, when it came into effect, they never made noise about it. They were quiet, and all along when they were debating the finance bill, they know whether this finance bill goes through or not, our salary increment is still on the way coming. And again, I want to commend the media for raising, because that is what the media should do. The media is supposed to give us every other detail that is hidden or that is open. Your work is to report. So I feel that there's a lot of hypocrisy with members of parliament and members of the county assembly. I'm very sorry, but I feel it's a lot of hypocrisy because they knew it and they did not say, now that the finance bill is not going to take place, can we channel this salary increment to junior secondary teachers? Can we channel this salary increment budget allocation to ease the burden on the Kenyan people? You see, when we talk about rise in their salary increment, we are talking about more money when we have no money. And then again, I saw a lot of hypocrisy yesterday, even among the members who voted for no, when they went on their social medias and said, oh, me, I don't support. They're only trying for to look for a soft landing back in Mashinani so that now they can stabilize the hostility that is in Mashinani, because you understand right now they can't even go to Mashinani.
They've been put on notice.
Yeah, so now they're looking for a way to come home and tell people, oh, me, I've refused my right to be in.
Hata nilikata pesa.
Hata nimekata hiyo pesa, nimesema ipatiwe maybe the police officers or maybe the junior secondary teachers. But in real sense, if the media did not highlight it, they would have silently enjoyed their money. We would only be seeing them smiling in town.
All right, it's a big headline there on the front pages of our dailies. And yes, this debate about that Gazette notice that was issued last year, now it was to take effect on July 1st, which was Monday this week, the very first day of the financial year 2024-2025. And the image of Lynn Mengich, the chairperson of the SRC, features on all the major dailies, on the Business Daily, on the Daily Nation, on the Standard, People Daily as well. And they say in unison, even the MCAs on this panel this morning, hawataki hiyo pesa.
But it's because they know the ground is hostile.
But they say for now.
Yeah, it's safe for them.
This one I like as
yes, and I support him.
I'm an honest guy, you know.
Yeah.
So.
You are a truthful man.
Yeah.
And I support him. And I support Adam Marai 100%, because you see, what we are saying is the kind of work the MCAs do. And we've been on this discussion, and as Honorable have said, the MP salary is pegged on a certain percentage of the president's pay. And our campaign have been that peg the MCA's remunerations on the salary of the governors. Work with the percentage.
Okay.
That is what is fair. And that is even why the president some time back was saying, it's true, all these are elected leaders. In fact, the MCA is the one more with wananchi mashinani, more than the MP. Okay. Especially like now when things went haywire, it's the MPs who are stealing the ship.
So now you do agree that MCAs should be better paid?
But not now. Where are you bringing?
Not now.
Yes, there we want everyone to carry the burden of stabilizing the ship.
Right.
And I want to inform my sister Jelly. We had the leaders have no say. You know, the leaders have no say in whether we didn't even know whether we are getting increment.
Right.
And when it came, no, relax. When it came, we have all refused. We don't want that. And the SRC chair should deal with the department properly, because setting up everyone against the last.
She did not. A year ago.
No, but you see, it is she who is sleeping on the job. Why come and now
stop the news?
Exactly, not the news.
Fred.
They should have put measures, because they have seen the problem we are having. In fact, they are now coming to say we are increasing leaders.
It's only 2 months before, after the president came and talked about the ballooning wage bill.
Yes, they should have stopped.
But you still say MCAs should be paid better. When I like,
When the situation improves.
You know, when I understand the situation in the country now, you know, they say that the wage bill is now 47% of the revenue. It is very unfortunate that it's that high, because it should be lower. But I believe that, you know, we are going to lose a very big, part of this conversation by putting the MPs, the PSS, you know, I've seen the commissioners of what, in all that. I believe that the president made a very big mistake when they cut down the pay of the intern doctors. I believe that those people should be paid better. I believe that police officers must be paid better. I believe that teachers must be paid better. There are people, if you pay them better, at least you feel a relief from the economy. And you feel they're rejuvenated. And they're not only supposed to be paid better. You know, the work environment, especially for teachers and police officers, who are almost everywhere in this country, is not conducive as it is now. So we are going to lose a very good conversation, which we should, because the people are making noise in the streets. We're focusing
too much on the leaders.
Yes, the people who are in the streets, a good number of them are being egged on by their parents, who are forming part of the middle class. And this middle class are earning a salary, but their pay slip is not reflecting, you know, with the function. You hear the teachers are now talking about something called teach and go home. It means they need not to focus like they want to change the lives of the kids. They do it like any other job. But you know, teaching is a calling. Police officers, if a police officer is standing between a bad person and you, you know, he's risking his life. However much you are supposed to. But if you pay him, if a basic salary of a police officer who is even serving in Nairobi, sometimes you start with 30,000, what are you going to get to do with 30,000 in this Nairobi? So I believe that It is very unfortunate that we are going to lose a very good conversation here because it's muddied by the affairs of the leaders who are not very popular.
There's a general anger against the political leadership of the country, and that it cuts across from the MCAs to the members of parliament to the president. That is a problem with this conversation, because yes, this Gazette notice of freezing on the pay rise will affect other people as well, not just the political leadership. Jerry?
You see, one thing that we need to agree is that the economy has not, we've not come to 2024 and realized that we are not in a good economic situation. Back in 2023, we were with you here, Fred, and we were saying the Finance Bill 2023 was also not really that good to the Kenyan person, because our economy for the last 2-3 years has not been doing well. And, and that is after COVID. And we have to be honest with ourselves. Is it time that we need to separate, even if we need, I don't know if it's possible that, but our policymakers can tell us, is it possible that we separate civil servants from the political serving civil servants? Because I feel right now a doctor should have an increment, just as we've said. But as long as we are also saying the governors and everybody else should not get a pay raise, it's going to affect them all. So I think it's time maybe we clearly draw the line. And I don't know, now that they're saying they don't want the salary increment, I would want to ask my member of parliament, my member of the county assembly, my governor, maybe my senator, would you people maybe suggest to the government to slash your salary a bit, then when things get better, we can maybe compensate you and do an increment? Because it's a conversation we need to have.
Would you take a pay cut?
Would you take a pay cut?
I am even surprised she's putting the MCA in that category. What we are saying is this. Do you hear of things which are called historical injustices? You know, I as a person, I wouldn't mind. But
A pay cut?
Well, let me put it this way. Personally, you know, even the seat I occupy in my party, it's courtesy of my colleagues. And you see it would be so unfair. Honorable here has just told you, the salaries of an MP is pegged on the pay of the president, a certain percentage. So it's only fair that when it comes to the MCE, why discriminate? Use the same formula,
Okay.
peg the MCE's pay at the salary of a governor. That's fairness.
Okay.
But we are not saying that it be done now. You see, what we are saying is,
So pay
if
cut,
whether
Friends,
relax, let me finish. You have, you know, once you speak, you relax. Also, you listen. What we are saying is this: let's calculate the percentages of everyone. If you want to use the MCA's module, use it even on the MPs. If you want to use the MCA's module,
Okay.
apply the same to MCAs. Don't discriminate.
Do you think MPs should get a pay cut?
What I'm saying is this. You know, the SRC, right? I don't want to come and here and you put me into other conflicts. The SRC
No, but it's a question
is
of yes or no,
mandated.
you
No,
know.
I cannot say yes or no. Those are things you tell small children to say.
No,
yes or
but
no. Yes.
it's a question of
The
yes or
issue
no
is this.
pay cuts.
You know, Jerry, when you learn philosophy, you learn things are neither black or white.
They are.
No,
In
they
this
are
situation,
not.
they are. We
No,
need-
no, no, no.
we need a yes
There
or
is a
no.
gray area. There is a gray area
it's not going to
where
be
ideas
You cannot.
When
No,
I
can't.
would you be more
So the-
direct? Would you take a pay cut
Now,
if it comes to that? Yes.
it comes now, I'll take a pick up.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Take a pay
it.
cut.
Bwana Kiroga, would you let us go back?
Yes,
now
said.
to
Yeah,
what-
you can't.
The issue is, no, you see, even me, I would take a pay cut, but what I'm saying is this. Let's stop being discriminative.
Okay.
Let's apply the same standards to all the elected leaders. There are no leaders who do better than others. I'm telling you, there are MCAs who are more visible to the Wananchi, more than even some MPs.
Okay.
So let's use equal standards, and that is what INRI are.
All right.
Saying.
Yes, that headline about a possible pay increase for state officers who include the political leadership has really caused some jitters among the populace. And the cartoon on the People Daily, page 10, Stano's take, has that as well on issues to do with salary increment, and says, it is true, life has become so expensive and I need more money. That's the elected leader there. It is what it is. But yes, that was frozen yesterday. and that debate ends there. This other debate, and that features as a main headline on the dailies this morning, jitters as Ruto cabinet purge looms. Senator Ruto, read yourself of excess baggage. It's also the big headline on Taifa Leo. Let me just get the wording correctly. Mawaziri hofu tele. And on the Star, dissolve cabinet, Ruto allies demand. Why are we obsessed with the president's cabinet? It's just a question, because over and over we've had people telling the president, you need to fire your cabinet, you need to dissolve your cabinet, we need a cabinet reshuffle. Why are we so obsessed by that? Because
for one, from the word go, people are not obsessed about him firing them. From the word go, that was the wrong choice of cabinet members. People who have questions of integrity, people who have questions of the people they were in society before they became cabinet secretaries, because you don't want to tell me that we need to close our eyes and assume that some of those people are not people who have been in court for as great convicted cases like murder. You cannot ignore the fact that some of those people have been involved in great scandals of this nation. And from the word go, some of the people in that cabinet, we saw it from the word go. You cannot make a cabinet some political rewarding scheme, because at the end of the day, you need to prioritize. You need to prioritize their professionalism. You need to prioritize how good are they in their job. Somebody would bring the question of they helped the president in campaigns. We need to end those kind of politics whereby that simply because somebody helped campaign, they deserve a position in cabinet. A cabinet is a serious setup of people, and we need to ensure that the people who are there are people with integrity, people that this nation can rely on, people who are qualified, people who have experience in those departments. You can't just go bring somebody on top of the lorry and bring them to a car to be in charge of the public servants. They have never served any other time. They have no experience. They've never been an employee. They have just come from nowhere. But simply because they did campaigns with the president, you feel they deserve a position in cabinet. We can't again auction cabinet secretary's position that simply because somebody gave 100 million or 200 million during campaigns, they deserve a seat in cabinet. The moment everybody saw who was appointed and it went all over social media, and people raised very serious concerns. And it's a problem again of parliament, because as I told you, we have an extension of the executive in parliament, because Kenyans raised serious concerns. We saw even people go to dig from our courts, from the history of these people, and there were so many concerns that clearly the president ignored. They were red flags, they are still red flags, and Kenyans are still going to call them red flags. Whether we want to make it look as if Kenyans just want some people fired, no. Kenyans, from the word go, we are not okay with that cabinet.
Yeah, these are political appointments, when I lie. Yes. They are not the technocrats.
Yeah.
Many believe that any attempt or any action of firing or reshuffling the cabinet would just be an attempt by the president to pacify the masses, not really for any meaningful gain. Do you think there's anything to be gained by a cabinet reshuffle?
No, I think, Fred, what needs to be done now is that the president, I hope that he has realized that he almost lost the country, and it is very unfortunate to let that one go, because, you know, with political instability, it is very dangerous. You know, a lot of people might wish to remove President Ruto today, but the manner in which he is removed might either bring this country down or take it somewhere. So when we play with the risk of instability. Today, if you see State House is surrounded by armored personnel carriers, you know, the most well-equipped, you know, the army, the special forces in the army, the REC from the GSU. It's a war zone. Is this what we want for Kenya? Is this the the best view of a democratically elected president of Kenya? Even some of us whose wards touches parts of State House, we are not allowed easy access to even places like kindergartens, which borders the State House. But what I would like to also say is that when Mbadi was in Parliament during the vetting of the MPs, of the CSS and the PSS, and he told the president that this is your skunk, we are giving it to you. This is what is ringing now. The skunk is smelling now. It's stinking. It has to be done away with. And I think that's what everybody, you saw yesterday in Senate, Aaron Cheruyot and all top leaders, the majority leader was saying that clearly we have to do away with this. And I think this is the best opportunity for the president to reset. And I think that the Gen Zs have benefited the president more than anybody else. Because whatever MOU he had with anybody is null and void at this point. It is the stability and the salvation of the country called Kenya. Whatever salvation he had with Alfred Mutua, with Mudavadi, with all these party leaders who are in the cabinet or in the parliament, you saw what all these charade, all these problems we had, we are having as a country, and Gen Zs, and even going to ban parliament. Why were they going to parliament? Because there's a parliamentary leader called the Speaker who was not able to be wise enough to realize that he needs to be the bigger person. He should have just, in the floor of that assembly, should have said, I withdraw. Let us, members, let us consider the euphoria outside there. It is not very favorable for us to even be discussing this. Can we reconsider, go and sit down, go do public participation, come back with it, a refined document, and maybe it can be discussed. So, but I think that the best opportunity for the president now is fire some.
Take advantage of the crisis.
Yes.
Do you agree with that assertion that, yes, probably the president has for a very long time been held hostage by some of the pre-election deals or even post-election deals that he made once he got into office, and he ended up with a cabinet that does not really benefit him?
I think I wouldn't say that. Because, you know, Fred, some things which are said towards people, they may sound popular, but we need to be fair to everyone. And, you know, we are a country that have laws, you know, that stipulate how we should be governed. And remember, even the person who is in court, we always say, you are innocent until proved guilty. But one thing the president has committed himself to is that if you are a cabinet minister and you are charged in a court of law, you have to step aside until you are cleared. So, you know, we also need to be fair to the president, but I think to some extent, I may agree with my brother Ali here. The president may sort of have a clean start. It's his prerogative. You know, it's actually, we didn't even have to have the crisis. Every cabinet secretary, every permanent secretary.
He told them off at some point about their performance, but he appears unable or
not unable. No, the president cannot be unable. It's just that you want to be fair to people. You know, you just don't want to wake up and say you are not perfect. You see, no one of us, no human being is perfect. And there is something Onabora here have said that I want to agree with him 100% about, you see, the way Gen Zs came, you know, and they've done quite a good job. The only problem is now the infiltration we have from some criminal elements. And you see, what the Gen Zs were fighting for is not what some of these characters are fighting for. People like Boniface Mwangi, they are not fighting, they are not on the same wavelength with Gen Zs. The opposition politicians, they are taking advantage of the Gen Zs campaign to fix the government. They would want to see the government fall. But the Gen Zs have come, you know, they have put their ideas forward, their demands forward, the government have accepted. And my word of advice to the Gen Zs, you have greatly succeeded in what you are agitating for. Don't allow people with criminal intentions to mar your victory.
And we'll come to that discussion about the Gen Zs.
Yeah, because it is important. You know, this is very important, Fred, to tell them when you are celebrating your victory, you know, even when you are dancing and you have danced so well, don't overdance, because you now may spoil the moves, right?
But with
now
this
you
issue
have
of the cabinet, Bwana Kiruga Dhuku, because I feel like you're skirting around the issue.
I'm not.
You're not giving us a clear answer. Do you think it is time that the president executes a reshuffle in the cabinet? And do you think it's necessary?
No,
or just away from pacifying the masses?
You know, Fred, let me tell you, what I'm telling you is, leave alone now that we have a crisis. The president have the prerogative of
He may have the prerogative.
Yes.
Do you feel it is necessary that he does so now?
I cannot say that. It is the prerogative of the president to change it now, to change it in future. Anytime he may want to fix the
Do
cabinet.
you think it's necessary?
I don't. I have not listened to. I cannot. Whom do you want me to say the president should sack?
No. I'm saying, do you feel it is a necessary action?
It is the prerogative of the president. The president have been working with his cabinet for a whole almost 2 years.
On the front page of the Standard, it says that Ruto's allies are demanding that he dissolves the cabinet.
I'm not part of their demands. Personally, what I'm saying is,
You will leave it to the president.
I leave it to the president.
Okay.
Yes. You
And
have
to
to.
And that is
figure
why
out
we
whether
have
it's
a problem.
necessary or not.
And that is where we have a problem in this nation, because we have leaders who cannot make decisions on their own sober mind. They have to wait for the president. And you see, when we go to the parliament, that is where you find a member of parliament is brought for a bill. He won't read it. He won't care to know if it was printed in white and black or it's colored. He's just waiting for the president to say, I think it's good.
No.
You see, we need to be very clear. When we send you to a county assembly, when we send you to a parliament, you need to personally look at things without wanting to know your party affiliations, what affiliations you have with the president or your governor. Because at the end of the day, you have a responsibility.
Yes, I have a responsibility.
Kiroga, let me
friend.
finish. You have a responsibility from your people from Chinga to tell people, I feel, if I am personally asked, because if they sit around the president and they don't tell him things as they are, it's a problem.
He's a senior member of the party.
Yeah, you
And
see, the issue
he cannot
is
even say,
you cannot bring your feelings to such serious, state matters.
not feelings.
No, you are not elected an MCA to tell the president whom he should fire
As a
or
member
not.
of the NEC, as a member of the NEC,
Yes.
once in a while the president may call upon you to advise him on such matters,
If he
even
does,
political matters.
if he does call me to advise him, I'll not come to advise him in TV stations. I'll go and respectively pass. By the way, there is nothing that stops me from quietly having a tete-a-tete with the president and maybe giving him my idea, my thoughts. But I cannot come to address my president on TV
Are you
stations.
happy with the performance of all cabinet secretaries as they are right now? Are you satisfied?
With?
The performance of cabinet secretaries?
They've been trying. Well, and I'm not there. I'm not. My role as an MCA, my role as
Even
a
as a
leader,
Kenyan, even as a Kenyan,
even
just
as a
like-
Kenyan, my role is not to judge cabinet secretaries.
There's a crisis in the nation. Right
Yes, yes.
now. Many people have different and varied opinions about what is happening. Some feel that certain actions could be part of the solution. Many appear to believe that a dissolution of cabinet could be part of the solution for the president, that it would do good for the president, even if it's just to pacify the masses. Do you agree with that?
But you see, now when you are telling me here about pacifying the masses, you know, many years ago, some people are demanding release Barnabas, crucify Jesus. Jesus, we are still praising him up to date. We are paying allegiance to Jesus up to date. So it's not a matter of pacifying the masses, but being just and fair to everyone. You see, and that is why I told you.
We are not getting any answer.
No, you cannot.
no, but Fred, at this point, we've done so many shows with Kiroga. You need to know that he will never give you a yes or no answer as long as the president is involved. That is why you saw some comedians say that our members of parliament, our politicians, are always waiting for left, right.
Are you
from
not
the
burdening?
president.
When I lie, do you think that probably the leaders around the president put too much of a burden on the president to make all the decisions?
I think they do, and I don't know if it's the president who wants it that way, because I find it very unfortunate that, elected, he draws his mandate directly from the people, and he's not like a cabinet secretary or a permanent secretary who is appointed by the president. But when you're elected by the people, you need to give the president the blunt truth, especially when there's a crisis like now. But you find that leaders who yesterday didn't see anything wrong with the cabinet are suddenly saying that, fire this cabinet, disband it, change leadership in parliament, what and so on. But these are the people who are praise singers. I have a very unfortunate, I'm very comfortable with somebody like Kiruga, because his stand yesterday, it still remains his stand today. I have a very huge dislike for somebody like that Gikaria MP who brought along all his family members and printed T-shirts saying that I'm sorry. You know, it is it's a very scary for a leader to make that U-turn very fast. Just one day after doing the most unfortunate thing, justify to us. Because in this country, what you have to agree with is that somebody had to vote yes. Because we all don't agree, don't see the same way. And somebody had to vote no. The only thing the public, they didn't read is that they didn't read the mood of the public. So it was not supposed to be that many. But a fraction of Kenyans believe that yes was right. Just like a fraction of Kenyans believe that Ruto was the right person for president and Raila was not the right person for president, you know, and vice versa. So, but I believe that the president needs to be advised, especially the people close to him, needs to give him the absolute truth. And I don't think that they're doing that. I think
the likes of Kiruga.
I think the praise and worship team.
And they'll never give definite answers, even when it's a yes or no.
Hasn't that contributed, if we may draw parallels with what is happening in Parliament, hasn't that contributed to the lack of confidence in the Houses of Parliament? The fact that they leave the president to make all the decisions, even on some of the things that they should be deciding in the House.
You see, some of these things are just, despite the fact that the president is at liberty to fire and hire any cabinet secretary, but members of the county assembly, members of the parliament, senate need to understand that if the health department is not working, courtesy of the CS Health, you as a member of county assembly will still have a problem because it trickles down to Mwananchi at your level. At the end of the day, if you cannot look at things from a perspective of your home area, how is the health working there? Is your governor making sure that health there is working? If it's not working, you need to know definitely my waziri has a problem. So you need to escalate that to the national issue, because members like Keroga have a very good view of the national political arena and how things are running in this country. You cannot say that Nyeri is not well exposed to national politics. They know there's a problem. But simply because of political affiliations, we have made it look as if the president thinks that this cap is blue, it's definitely blue. Yes. The member of parliament will say it's blue.
And that happened exactly during the vetting of these same cabinet secretaries. There are serious questions on on the integrity of some of these cabinet secretaries. Some of them had court cases, links to fraud and allegations like those ones. Yet Parliament, in their own wisdom, decided to pass and rubber stamp the list from the president as it was, without adding any value to the president.
No,
that's a question we're asking.
I don't think that was the case. You know, the problem with our politics, and I think even everyone who is not a stranger to this nation knows this, we reached some point. For example, Jubilee was very notorious for punishing people who are not subscribing to a certain way of political thinking. So it would have been very, very unfair that you are being punished as a politician for supporting a certain party, for example, it was an open secret. Everyone who was supporting President William Ruto, back then who was the deputy president, had a lot of problem with the Jubilee government. We were seeing it even in an area like Nyeri. So, what the parliament was doing, and one of the mess we had to undo, was that victimization, politicization, right?
What is the necessity of vetting, if at all you cannot say this person is not qualified?
No, you are vetting a person, but
the only answer you can give is a stamp of approval.
No, not a stamp. Fred, I'm telling you, even you today, you know, you are not a politician, you are a journalist. And we know how politicians are fixed. So even those committees, they could see this person was just being harassed, blamed because of the political affiliations then. So they were lighting those mistakes.
Let me give you a different example, because one of the nominees then for cabinet position had not been a politician before. And her performance, even during vetting, which was publicly displayed on TV was wanting. Yet at the end of the day, despite that poor performance during vetting, each and every person on that list was given a stamp of approval.
But you see now, friend,
don't you think that is part of the problem?
It was wanting, maybe according to you. Because, you know, like now, and there was one time there was that a standoff, and the former MP, Jimmy Angwenyi, was saying, we cannot deny this lady. It was during previous vetting, during Jubilee's time. And Jimmy Angwenyi, Honorable Jimmy Angwenyi was saying, we cannot deny this lady a chance. You know, at times, you just come there, you have come, you are not even a politician, you are scared of the politicians, and Jimmy Angwenyi was saying, maybe a politician maybe gave her a funny look, she panicked. So, the thing we are saying is, and even this is what you have seen the CBC trying to cure, don't just judge a person through one exam. That person might even be having a stomach problem and he or she performs very poorly there. You cannot judge that person.
I feel there seems to be a problem with the people around the president or the people who work with the president, especially elected members. An example is when the president gave a speech on Wednesday last week, I think, when he considered a lot of things when it came to the finance bill. The same MPs who had bulldozed the bill inside the House were seated right behind
Those
him,
are not right
applauding as the president deleted all the clauses that they had pushed through Parliament.
Yes.
But they had
Question is, do they have a mind of their own to say that no, we passed it and we have a reason to?
You know this, and this one, I hope that Kiruga would support me on this, because you know, for somebody who is now elected official also in the Nairobi City County, I'll say that the biggest enemy of the people is the big political parties, and it's very unfortunate because the big political parties become part of the fraud and the scam which we have in the leadership. Like in Nairobi today, you cannot, if you come from Azimio, you cannot say anything negative about Governor Sakaja. You cannot. You're not allowed to.
By your party?
By the party. You're not supposed to have a thought of your own. You have to have a thought of the party. And the thought of the party sometimes, how do you have 60 elected members have a single mindset?
So that's happening not just at the national level, even at the county assembly level.
It is worse. If it was better at the county assembly, because you know these are MCAs who are lowly paid, they are at the mercy of governors, they are at the mercy of speakers, then you put them again at the mercy of parties. They can now not have any voice. And you know, I wish that, and for the first time when I saw Gen Z, I said this is the first time it would be very easier or very easy to get elected as an independent candidate in Nairobi. It is almost impossible to get elected as an independent candidate because, you know, Kenyan politics is a politics of cult of personality.
Are you saying Kenyan politics does not allow for independent thought?
Yes, you are either on this side.
Just shepherded by parties.
Yes, you're either on party A, unashambulia party B, or you're on party B.
And you cannot see any wrong.
Yes, and if you go to the Wananchi and you start talking about the roads and the hospitals and they'll tell you, no. Wait. Kati yako na party kwa aje. Which party do you belong to? That's why you find middle class. The people who have gone to school, intellectuals, voting. If you go to Dagoretti North, if you go to Westlands, if you go to Karen, in Langata, the people who are intellectuals, if it is ODM, the MP is ODM, all the MCs are ODM. If it is UDA, the same thing. So I think that this is the best opportunity now to have independent thoughts in the city. Because if you don't have independent thoughts and you become slaves of parties, nothing will change with this.
On the front page of the People Daily, they make a reference to this discussion we're having. There's a headline at the very top of, if my director could help me with that, at the very top of the front page of the People Daily, noisy court jesters go underground. And they have an image there of Speaker Moses Wetangula, the leader of majority in the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah, and Majority Whip, Silvana Sosoro, say, after shouting from the rooftops for passage of punitive tax laws, Kenya Kwanza key leaders retreat to their enclaves in face of rage by brave young Kenyans. Before I come to you,
you see,
these people have been making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
in support of the president.
Yes.
Bulldozing through parliament. Yet when the president decided to delete those clauses and reject each clause, all the 69 clauses in the finance bill, they were right behind him, clapping very loudly and shaking his hand. And one wonders, isn't that the problem? That there's no one to actually tell the president any alternative thought?
I previously told you here last week that we have members of parliament, for lack of a better word, who operate like robots. If they are told it's this way.
What Nalai says, it also happens in the county assembly.
In the county assembly.
All our elected leaders are not exercising independent thought.
And you see, sometimes some of these things are because people were not really informed of what multipartyism meant. When people were advocating for, we need people to, we don't want a nation where we are just ruled by one party, we were not talking about we need to have other parties that are going to come in and strictly direct us on what to do, because we cannot, again, undermine our democracy and leave it to the political parties to just give directions of what their members should do, because the first boss to any elected person is Wanjiku. So we as Gen Z have brought about the discussion of tribeless and partyless.
Partyless, yes.
In this way, when we mean tribeless, we mean I need to vie with ODM back in Nyandarua County and they should give me votes, regardless of them saying that ni chama ya baba. And I need to go to Kisumu and get elected on a PNU party because it's a party, yeah, any other party. When we talk of tribeless and partyless, this generation is going, I am hoping that we are going to still walk the talk and make Kenyans understand that regardless of your party, regardless of your tribe, as long as that person does not have a sober mind, nothing is going to work. Because why do you need to have somebody in the right party, in the right tribe, but with a mindset that is controlled like a robot? Look at honorable member of Kikuyu, Kimani Ichung'wah. He was not keeping quiet the entire time during the finance bill. He was all over barrios. He attended, I think, every social event that was there and was there telling people, we are the government, we are not going to take anything. Right now, I think he has not even left his house from the day that he saw those things, because I think he's traumatized by understanding that, oh, I thought this nation I thought this nation was ours, we as Kenya Kwanza government. I thought nobody should tell us anything. And they have realized that mouthy kind of politics does not work well with Wanjiku. You have seen people go to homes of members of parliament. What are people telling these people? You can go to Nairobi, throw your mouth all day, by the end of the day, you will come back here and we are going to ask you questions. The Speaker of the National Assembly has been very quiet. We have always looked at him very differently, but I think sometimes when you raise somebody to such an national...
Even after Parliament was precincts were breached, he hasn't spoken about it.
He cannot.
Interestingly.
You see, he cannot because he fears that by his political affiliations and by the MOUs behind the scenes, they can wake up and decide that we no longer need him as a speaker. And that is why I think the independence of these institutions needs to be clearly understood by Kenyans. Kenyans need to understand the powers that they have.
I'm made to understand that now you Shimios are no longer using sirens and flags for one reason or another.
They are using probox. They are using even probox.
I've never used those things.
But people are hiding now. They can no longer
They
use
have changed cars.
I don't know, because I'm interacting.
By failing to exercise independent thought previously, this generation has put them on notice. And because of that, now you have to change how you approach these things.
You know, friend, let's not come here and mislead people. And me, I will not be part of misleading people. I'll speak the truth. You see, major political parties, not only in Kenya, but across the world, they have something we call a manifesto. My brother here will tell you, ODM was a big party. UDA Kenya Kwanza was a big coalition. We had a manifesto that we were selling to people. And people were voting for some of those, ideas that we gave them in our manifestos. And when you are a party member, you are bound by a certain collectiveness to to support the manifesto of the party. And that is why we are there even as NEC. We are there as party organs to support the party leader in delivering the party manifesto to the people. It's only unfortunate.
Even when the party leader appears to go in the wrong direction,
but
sometimes?
The party, no, look, Fred, the party have its mechanism of allowing at decisions. It is just like when you are a cabinet secretary, whether a decision is light or you feel it's light, or if you think something is wrong, you go and discuss it at the level of the cabinet. Otherwise, you are bound by what we call collective responsibility. Likewise, as party leaders, we are bound by the same collective responsibility. And this is what people need to understand. Otherwise, I cannot be coming here and my party has policies, then I subscribe to my party and I'm coming out to open my party. You should resign.
The suggestion by calling them court jesters is that the people around the president are acting more like sycophants and not offering the president
No,
value.
that is their opinion. Let me tell you, Fred, like this newspaper, it's not a Bible. It's not a religious edict. So, even calling those leaders called jesters, hiyo ni ile madhalau ya kawaida. But the thing is this, yes, the thing is this, people are entitled to their opinion. And what we are saying is this, Fred, people need to listen together. And that is why you have seen even the president himself. He have said, fine, I want to listen with Gen Z generation. When we talk, I talk with them, they will understand me better. I will understand them better. Because I was even reading another newspaper here, it was saying, even this finance bill, everything was not wrong in it. There were some very good things. Look, even the judiciary, as we speak, they have suspended they have put into freeze all the hiring. So, it's not everything that was bad. And I said here last time, Fred, it's good to have these discussions because in future, even Generation Z might understand, so after all, the government was not wrong. Because like this financial year, the kind of austerity measures that will take place, right? We should all brace ourselves for various cuts almost everywhere. When you see even leaders coming out to say, no, we don't want to touch that money, don't add us anything. It's in preparation of the austerity measures that will take place. We will even have to cut back on development projects, you see. So the thing is, in this world, political parties, and when you are a member of a political party, you support, because political parties, they have manifestos to help their populace.
Even ODM, I think Bonalai has admitted ODM in Nairobi, they've decided to support.
Yeah, and if you lack party discipline, the party collapses.
But when it comes to the president, Bonalai, do you feel that those people around him are offering quality? Quality in terms of even advice, even in the variety in terms of approach to different things? Right now the country is in a crisis. The leaders who have been making a lot of noise in one direction, simply supporting what the president has been doing, have now bitten a retreat.
I don't believe that we have a cabinet, because the cabinet is the topmost policy-making organ in the country, and I don't think that we have the best brains from the population in that cabinet. I think that some of them are good, but a good number of them are also bad in that they are already soiled. They are conflicted in many issues, in many regards. And not only the cabinet, but even if you go to the parliamentary leadership, if you check on that leadership is really wanting. We have a speaker who is of very questionable character. We have some of the leadership of the House, like the majority whip. I don't believe that he should even be part of the leadership, because he doesn't even have the maturity, leave alone the content, but the maturity to be part of the leadership of that assembly, the National Assembly especially. It is very unfortunate that we have them there. I believe that we don't have the quality. The president needs to have better brains. And this is why we have always been complaining that, why is the president not getting proper advice? But even going forward, I don't believe that Mary Wambui can lead Communication Authority. can chair that board. I don't believe that Mwaura can chair KRA. I don't believe, some of these things we have to save the country. If it has to be a UDS stalwart, that is the only UDS stalwart, you have better brain. I believe that, we have people, some of them can resign from MCA and go and by the way, the people who came from MCA, we have, I think, one former MCA who is now a PS, and Minister Zachary, of Water now, who is a former MCA also. Some of the MCAs are better, at performance than even the people who, you call technocrats but don't show with their performance. I believe that the president is not getting quality. And this is why we said, this is UDS skunk. Let them have it. But now, it is for us, the country, the whole country, UDA, ODM, Azimio, you have to come together and say that, can we save the nation?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about now this agitation that has gone on for a couple of weeks now by the Generation Z. A lot has happened. Generation Z. Let's still insist on Generation Z.
When I say we are British.
We are Kenyan. Yeah. So what we saw on Tuesday this week was nothing. It was a stark difference. Starkly different from what we saw last week. Last week we saw peaceful demonstrators, despite the fact that the presence of parliament were breached, and despite the fact that police used a bit too much force in containing the protests. But what we saw on Tuesday was basically criminal acts,
yes.
GOONS, looting and destroying property. And the idea of peaceful demonstrations by the Generation Z, of which you are part of, Jerry, was a noble cause that has been applauded. It's been lauded by many people, including the president himself. Do you still think there's an opportunity for more agitation for other things? Or have the Generation Z lost the plot?
First of all, I want to tell the people of this nation, and I would not be ashamed to tell even the president, if he's watching this morning, that we know yesterday, apart from few Gen Zs, most of the people who are on the streets were directly from his payroll. And I'll tell you this for a fact. I think the president has advisors around him who wake up and told him, bring the army. Gen Zs, when they see the army, they're gonna, they're gonna fear and go back. But you saw, when the army came on the streets, they were not doing anything to anybody. In fact, Gen Zs were welcoming them with songs and, hanging on the cars, and it looked like some sort of street party, because these people were very peaceful. I think in the perception of the president, he thought that once the army comes to the streets, they're gonna be shooting and killing. And then he realized, oh, they're not even doing it any better. In fact, Gen Zs are more happy when they hate the army that is on the streets. So now he sat down with his people and they decided, oh, now what do we do? Now they decided, let us make this noble thing look like it is inflated, but we know it's us doing it. So the moment they realized that the army is not cooling down the tensions, and Gen Zs are willing to be on the streets every other day as long as it's the army, they decided, now let us bring people who are going to intimidate them and who are going to give Kenyans a different view of Gen Z. Remember, the first Tuesday that Maandamano was held, no business was vandalized. Nobody, even the business people did not have to be on the roads to guard their businesses. But what did we see yesterday? We saw them with rungus out there, hoping that they could safeguard their businesses. Because it's a trend of Kenyan politics, it's a trend of Kenya Kwanza regime, that each time they realize that something has been appreciated and something is taking a good cause, they bring in their people to make it look bad. You've seen a video circulating of people coming from City Hall yesterday. You've seen a video circulating on social media of people camping outside politicians' gates at home. What were they waiting for in the wee hours of 5:30, 6:30? They were waiting for their pay cut. You've seen a lorry come into town full of coffins. Oh, surely. Which Gen Z has a lorry with that and a business that does coffins? We know how these things operate. Government has decided now, let us give the face of these maandamano as a criminal activity.
Yes.
And I want to tell Kenya Kwanza politicians, you can fool people every day, but it comes to a time where people look at you and they realize, and that is why you even saw people write on social media, you know, Gen Z maandamano was very peaceful. Yesterday's maandamano ilikuwa ya serikali. And that is where you realize those people who were there with Masanduku and doing all those kind of dramas, none of them was shot by the police because they knew hawa ni watu wetu. In fact, it now turned out to be the business people who were guarding their premises were against these goons. Now the police were tear gassing the business people who are safeguarding their business because wanajuana kwa vilemba, they knew hawa pia wako kazi kama wao.
In this day and age, people have the ability to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yes.
You can tell this is not part of this.
Yes.
You can tell very well that the goons that we saw on Tuesday were not parts of the team that we saw last Tuesday that was peacefully demonstrating in Nairobi. The goons this past Tuesday were definitely meant to tarnish the image of the Gen Z protesters.
Okay, let me first correct something. Because you know, this is a national television. And it would be very sad for some things to pass here and challenged for some things to be associated with such a great media house. You know, when we come here and see that the army was in the streets, I don't know, you're putting the president's name. He was not happy. They were not. He expected them to shoot people. I think that's a very ignorant comment. The army was not sent to the streets to shoot at people. When you desecrate national constitutional institutions, you desecrate national parliament, you desecrate the head of judiciary, the government has an obligation to send its top military organs to defend key government installation. And you see, not because it is the government, but because these institutions belong to the Kenyan people. They signify the greatness of this nation. So, it's only an instant government which would allow the running down of its key constitutional institutions. So, that one should be corrected and let everyone know the army was not sent in the streets to deal with the demonstrators. That is the work of the police, and they've done it well. The army was there, and there is a court order.
Talking about the police, you saw what happened on Tuesday.
Yes.
The police have been previously very much present to contain the peaceful demonstrations. How come they were not on the streets on Tuesday to counter
they
the
were
goons?
there, but now they were pleading with people. There was a court order. Someone went and obtained a court order, and a judgment was made. Don't use bullets on the demonstrators. Don't use water cannons on the demonstrators. Don't shoot at the demonstrators. So the policemen were there, using the word of mouth, trying to plead with the people.
No, trying to plead with the goons.
Wait. The policemen were there. They are even on video. Now doing the only thing that they had the option of doing, pleading, stop this, because choices have consequences. But what I want to say is this. Once more, I want to laud the Gen Z's generation, what my brother Onabara calls Generation Z. Their agitation was for tangible areas and which they scored 100%. But in the typical Kenyan fashion, all manner of sharks, some with the intention, I dare say, of withdrawing the current government unconstitutionally. They infiltrated. They were the ones burning parliament. You know, I don't know whether, Fred, you saw Boniface Mwangi being slapped on the streets by the Gen Zs because he was telling them, let's go now in the State House. They told him that's not what we are agitating for. Go away, you are
that's not accurate. He asked them to leave the streets, and they
where were they
They have a problem with Boniface, and he has mentioned
they disagreed. It depends with the video you saw. But they told him, you are not our leader. And we know what he agitates for. So the issue is this. Gen Zs, like I was saying, they have made you, they are.
Do you think they should continue their agitation?
They should. No, agitation is one thing. You know, the president has given them a platform. Come, let's listen together. I'll come to your platforms. You tell me what you want. I give you my side. Then we can agree on the way to take the country forward. And like I was saying, Gen Zs are like that good dancer. And every good dancer knows when to exit the stage.
Should they exit now?
In fact, not completely exiting. Now they should exit the demonstrations stage to the discussions stage, and then they formulate something going forward.
Alaya, I think you share these sentiments. I've seen you on X, and you've not really been in support of these protests.
No, no. I think you've just, you just miscategorized me there. I have been the biggest supporter of the protest, but I'm also loyal to the flag of Kenya. You know, so when the flag is going to be soiled and desecrated and done many, you know, we have seen, and we organize Mandamano here sometimes to oppose what the government is doing, even when we know that it's not going to be very helpful to the country. And we have understood how, you know, the mob psychology works. When we saw this thing get into week 2, we say you're going to get a problem. Because whatever happens in this country, good thing which happens in this country, if you're going to talk about our independence, the people hijacked it along the way and made a lot of money, and Kenyans didn't benefit. If you talk about the SGR, you know, the roads networks, there are always cartels. It is not different from the protests of Gen Zs. When they were saying they are leaderless, tribeless, partyless, faceless, we said that is also their undoing. Because you cannot say that you don't trust everybody. Can you please trust somebody to lead you guys? One person, we are not choosing for you who. Because you're seeing leaders are trying to impose themselves or impose their children or they're trying to impose, you know, various people they get from everywhere to lead these people. Because they want to engage, they want to listen. But I find nobody understands how to engage these Gen Zs because they have remained leaderless. And that is also their undoing, because it was very easy to hijack it. Especially, the only thing I think which favors them is that the president doesn't have proper community from his own backyard who can give him proper support in the city. But if the president had even 200, 300,000 people from Rift Valley in this city would have burnt. Because it was very easy to grab it. It was very easy to hijack it. It was very easy to turn it into something else. And I'm seeing the problem of it being hijacked if it continues the way. So that's why we say that please, please, please don't go to State House. Please don't continue to week 2. We made a very good statement on Tuesday, the other week when you went and, you know, I saw parents. I was with the Saudi Soul on Koinange Street. You know, we are some of the people you've never seen Femi One demonstrating. These are people who are not going to come to the street.
Yet they have new ideas. Now they're saying, forget about Occupy State House, but they're saying, let's now go to ministries, Occupy Ministry of Health.
What?
Well, do you think they should continue, Njeri? That's the issue. They're all saying that the agitation should now stop, that the Gen Zs have done enough. You were successful last week. There's no need to continue with any more demonstrations. Do you agree with that?
First of all, it depends with who is going to occupy these ministries. Because again, you understand these ministries, these members of parliament at times are enemies of their own. And sometimes you will even hear one member championing for them to go to a certain member because it involves a lot of politics sometimes. But I think there is a time for every stage. The Mandamano stage was good. We did it perfectly week 1 until government brought in their people. I think now the president needs to do is he needs to come to our space and not to come talk like we saw him call around table the other day. He needs to come listen.
Big mistake. If he makes that
mistake. He needs to come listen.
He needs to join one of the Twitter spaces.
Yeah, and not him, and not his Twitter space, our space. You know, there's a difference of you inviting us to your page and you coming to our page. The president needs to know that where things are at now, you need to stop being told that you are the supreme being, you can do whatever you want. Come to our level. When you are looking for votes, I used to see him eat mandazis in the streets of Ndaragwa. Right now, I don't even think he can do that. You need to come to that level. Listen to that grandmother telling you, unga hapa hatununui, our roads, our what and what not. Because at the end of the day, if anything happens, you are the one to be thrown out of power. If anything happens, you are the one who is becoming a laughingstock, because other countries, you've had even other countries, Uganda and others, their parliaments are now saying, the genders of this nation, can you see what Kenya is doing? Can you know, it gets to a point that you need to come at a personal level and ask yourself questions. Am I ready to continue bulldozing everything, or I need to just call myself to a meeting and tell myself I need to listen to these people? And once he comes to our levels, we don't want him being accompanied by governors or members of parliament, of our members like Kina Keroga. He needs to only come with him and his bodyguards. Now, not those intelligence people who are going to come and notice.
Keroga should not accompany the president.
Not Keroga to be particular. What I'm trying to say is those
you
politicians
disagree with that approach.
No, you don't invite the president. I think that these people are playing with the national stability. Imagine a situation where the president gets into a platform whose moderators he doesn't even understand. Then he logs in there. Miguna joins from the comfort of Canada. And say, no, he's a thief. Imagine such a situation.
No, we are going to moderate. We have moderators.
Imagine a situation where somebody starts insulting the president openly. You know, the president might have done the worst to us. But remember, this is a nation of over 50 million people. We have to save the nation sometimes. And we are saving the nation by protecting the institution of the presidency. We are selfishly, even when we believe that those two people should not be at the president, we are selfishly trying to, for national stability. Because me, when I started my career in my professional career, I worked in Congo for 8 years. And I saw what war can do to a country. I saw the city of Kinshasa, which is 14 times bigger than Nairobi, reduced to a shell. You only see bullet holes, you know, shells of grenades, broken walls, and the city is so expensive. You cannot get a house for less than $3,000 to live, and that was in 2004 moving onwards. I have seen a community of over 450 tribes, a country rich in every imaginable mineral, reduced to nothing. A genocide is happening there every time. More than 500,000 people. Every year, more than 500,000 people die, but nobody pays attention. So I understand the need.
But how then will this president be able to engage the youth? Because we're talking about engaging the youth.
You know what I say? Look, I have not finished.
As you make your final comments, it's how can the president talk to this group?
And that's why I propose, you know, I said I don't agree with the approach of going to spaces and, you know, with moderators, you know, they already insulted them. When the president joined there 1 week ago, he was insulted.
It was Itumbi, not the president.
The president was there. The president was there. So he said, I joined. Na vitu nilisikia, ikabidi tu nitoke. You know, because, you see, but this is how he should engage. These people are saying they are faceless, they are tribeless, they are partyless, and they have listed the demands. Those are the demands the president must address. The president, these people have not made...
Simply cede to the demands.
No, you know there are some, if you cede to 50% of their demands, they are human beings. They will say, we are majorib, I'm a fire cabinet, I'm a toy, I'm a fight corruption. Just that ESCC. ESCC is now an extortion ring. That place, we have taken more reports there as PAC members. There, but when you go there, they call the governors, and the governor try to intimidate you. You know, I believe that these people have given the president the best platform. That list pekeake.
Just work on that.
Answer, and you don't need to call people for meetings. If you want to fire, why do I need to see your face if I want to fire you? Just fire.
You know, friend, You know, our president, you know, with me, I don't even being called a court jester, it's okay. But we are there, we have to speak the truth. And the president has gone out of his way and done what many presidents around the world would never do. And the president is saying, yes, for the sake of the country and to show you, you know, young men, you really matter to me, I'm ready to come to your space. And that is where we are saying here. You know, there are some, you know, this Gen Z campaign have been infiltrated by all manner of persons. Ati wanaongea neno ya mwisho mbwa. Wanaongea neno ya mwisho another unprintable word. That's nonsense. The real Gen Zs, they're interested, how will we get job opportunities? The real Gen Zs want a better future for themselves. And that is where the president is saying, he's ignoring this, like the way my brother here is saying, which is very true, right? You know, like the way Miguna would come there and say, nyinyi ni shade. You know, you ignore that for the bigger picture. And that's where the president is saying, fine, come, let us listen.
The mechanics of that reasoning together.
Yes, with me, I support if the Gen Zs feel, you know, there was a space that was being hosted, bringing together about 100,000 people at times.
You think the president should join such a space?
If he decides to join with me, I would support. He listens. But what I want to tell those who are participating now, if you come there and insult the president, you lose an opportunity to hear things that can be helpful to yourselves. So, friend, and I want to agree with, to some extent, you know, me and Arai now have really, I'm even foreseeing him joining our parties maybe in future. Now, the president is the symbol of national unity. We must commend the president for the way he has come out and handled this crisis. And like my brother have said, you know, I saw a video from a girl from Khartoum. That girl was saying, dogs come to their city to feed on corpses. That girl was saying, there is nothing so bad to warrant you destroying the peace of your nation. Guard the peace of your nation with your lives, with all you have got. Things are not such bad, such that you would want everything to go. Because you know, at the end of the day, we are talking about lack of job opportunities. If this country falls, everything goes haywire. In fact, like my brother here, Robert, is saying, you may have the money, you don't have the food to buy, you don't even have anywhere to sleep. We must guard against that. And that is why we are saying we commend the president for accepting to give an near to divergent opinion. And then he deserves a lot of our commendation.
He talked about the formation of a multi-sectoral forum, a national multi-sectoral forum bringing together church leaders, the youth from all over the country to begin dialogue. And you seem to suggest that that cannot work. The president should come to an X space.
Not necessarily the X space. First of all, I want to tell you that we Gen Zs and church leaders cannot be in the same platform. We cannot be the same platform with the same people who came and sold to us. Somebody who they knew very well was not what he portrayed, but because he had the money, they allowed him. We can't also, again, share the same space with church leaders who, after our people were killed on the streets, had the audacity to go to State House and come out with brown envelopes. We cannot share with them the same platform. Secondly, it does not need to be a Twitter space. You see, the moment you tell us to come together and you come have meetings with us, remember this involves budget. I saw yesterday in the news that the office of the first lead, you know, office of the first daughter, she was sitting down with student leaders, presidents and all that. And I asked myself, now, the president is getting it all wrong. Sending your daughter to come listen to some few leaders of universities is not really what we want, because you're also, again, going to be bringing a lot of expenditure because she does not come alone. These people are not mobilized without funds. You see, as long as people have told you, because I don't think he needs to be told in any other different language unless we get somebody who can tell him in his local dialect what we meant in those posters that we did, those lists that we gave, just as the honorable member has said. He needs now to just sit down and get a summary of everything that was said. These people said this, these people said this. What is common in all these posters? If you realize one thing is common around posters from Nyandarua, Kisumu, Mombasa, pinpoint those things that are very are coming out in every other region. Then have a list of priority. What is doable right now? What needs a budget? What can I do without a budget? You don't need a budget to fire anybody. You don't need any other budget to tell the parliament, hey, be independent, do your job. You don't need any funding to tell members of the county assembly and the governors, I don't want a lot of politics. What I want is your job's delivery. And at the end of the day, the president needs to know that time for talking, the demos were done, time for talking are done. And I think those who advise him need to tell him he's not good in media interviews. He needs to keep off. I think he should just let his spokesperson come read a statement and go home, because that media interview that we saw was, you ever seen somebody who has soiled himself, then again he sees I'm not well soiled, then he goes back and soils himself.
It did more damage.
We already listen, Kikiroga, we already said that the interview that he did on the day that he was conceding was not empathetic, it was a mock to us. Then he comes and asks a media personality, that kid that you are saying was shot with 8 bullets, he's still alive, right? It begs the question.
You see, friend, you don't have to come to the national TV to expose your hatred for the president or for any other person. It's just like saying, Jerry should not come here, she speaks, I don't know how, and I should.
But it's a national concern.
Oh, relax. National concern from who?
From everybody.
The president is within his rights. He can address this nation anytime.
He's what? He should keep
according
off.
To you.
According to
you, when there is a crisis, do you know some presidents have actually fallen because they failed to come out and address their people when they should have been doing that? So, I wish in future, Jerry will just go for the presidency. They are saying even women are equal to us. I wish she goes for the presidency. She first understands how hard it is to get elected. Even getting a party's nomination, then you convince people, they elect you to the president, then you can carry on with the
parting shot.
So, personally, I think I want to emphasize this nation belongs to all of us. No problem is bigger than our unity. And like I like saying, God has given us this nation for a time and for a lesson. Let us all come together. Let us listen together. You have seen now, in fact, the best example of how discussions and dialogue can work is between me and Arai. I told you Arai had even to block me because of the engagements we were having on,
But now you're friends.
We are buddies.
Okay.
I mean, I'm even forcing. See, I'm forcing myself receiving him into the government.
He's already supporting the UDA governor in Nairobi.
He's a good man. And we are supporting Baba.
When I parting shot, very brief.
So, all said and done, I think that the president, we have an opportunity for the country to rescue itself. And if the country would not seize this opportunity and rescue itself, it will be very unfortunate. And it's also the opportunity for the president to be the bigger person. It was very wise for him to get the advice not to allow the police. I think that whatever damage we saw in Parliament and whatever, because the day of the attack on Parliament, State House was almost, run down. But I saw the security officers very restrained. There's a lot of deaths which has happened. Any death, one person dead is one too many. So I think that the president needs to move the nation from here, disband the cabinet, disband the leadership of the assembly, change it completely, bring in a new Kenya.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, anything to add, Jerry?
I only want to tell the president and Kenya Kwanza regime, and to be particular the presidency, both the deputy and the president, it's not time for you to look for your friends and have coffee and discuss how you are doing well in this nation. It's time to step aside from your normal friends and go look for those people who call out the government or maybe who have different opinions. It's time for you to stop being around people who are just saying what you want to hear. Go look for those people who are saying what you don't want to hear, but you really find some sense in it. Sometimes put, for a minute, forget you are the president and look at it like how you would have looked at it when you were the deputy president. And if you feel that your friends are not helping you, please look for people with divergent views, because we are going to help you.
Thank you so much.
And I want to confirm from where I'm seated, the president is listening to everyone. Everyone, that is why you see the president, he's meeting the youth, he's meeting the church leaders, and the president have the best interest of this nation at heart. You can throw words at us, but that is the true position, that is the reality, that's the fact.
Kiruga Dhuku, MCA Shinga Ward in Nyeri County, chairperson UDA MCA's caucus, as well as member of the UDA party, NEC. Njeri Kahiga, National Youth Leader, PNU, and Robert Alai, MCA Kileleshwa Ward, our panelists this morning on State of the Nation, as we take a look at the big stories that the nation is talking about. This being Thursday, the 4th of July, we do expect quite some activity in and around Nairobi and other areas as well, and we'll be updating you that as we